Acton Board of Library Trustees. It is November 20th, 2024 at 7:05 p.m. I believe everyone's in attendance except for Chris Belts and Doug Bowman. So we have Dana Wilson, Roger Trahan, myself, John Verbrisky, Carrie Hogan, Aaron Vandestein, Tom O'Connell as the director, Kim Lipinski as a scribe, and Cindy Zarello here as a representative of the union. All right. So let's move into approving minutes. So we, I guess I need to accept the motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes. We can do, I guess we could propose them all in one. I don't know if we have any.
No, I think it's good to go. There's only two, right?
There's four.
Four. Yeah, we
No,
do them-
five.
We do them
Five, yeah.
separately.
Two of them are easy peasy.
True. Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the March 20th, 2024 special meeting minutes.
Second.
All right. Motion made and seconded. Motion made by Carrie Hogan and seconded by Aaron Vandestein. Any discussion on the minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Just a few recommended corrections on the underneath at the title 7:00 p.m. Zoom meeting. There's a requirement of the location. So if Kim, you could go back and just copy from the agenda that's online the Zoom link
Okay.
information, that'd be awesome. And then under, excuse me, also present, this was the Zoom, the interviews are Tom O'Connell, and then is Samantha Cesario. You're looking for the last name. It's Cesario.
Okay.
And under absent, Dr. Stephanie Teixeira, it's Teixeira. There's that extra I at the end there. Under the call to order, it says called to order by Chair Roger Trahan at blank p.m. I'm gonna just artistic license here shortly after 7 p.m. If we need to put a time in there. Unless it was exactly at 7, we could probably just say shortly after 7 just to fill in the gap. And that's all I had there.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Is there a motion to approve the next, or motion made and passed, I think, is what I'm supposed to say. So,
Yep.
is there another motion for the next minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the June 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes.
Do you want to lump the second one in there too?
Well, I think we do need to talk about the second one. I think,
we do?
I think Aaron's right. Like these two, we need to talk about because it says it's unclear if a quorum occurred. So I think we probably do need to have some discussion.
Okay, second.
Okay. All right. Motion made by Carrie and seconded by Aaron. Any discussion?
So, so this is your first day, Tom, right? So,
Yes.
so it was Doug and I met you, but then I'm trying to remember. John, did you come later, or was there anybody? No, it was just.
It was just you and,
I don't
You
think I
got it?
can.
And I did not either.
Okay.
no, it was just you and,
And so we met with you, and then I left, and then
You left,
gave
Doug.
you the exterior, the garden tour, right? No.
not even actually. No,
Okay.
a little tour of,
Yeah.
a little of the building, but
Okay.
it was like 9 to 10, yeah,
Okay. So there was definitely not a quorum.
definitely not fun.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion made and passed.
I declare the motion
I
carried.
declare the motion carried. Thank you. Would anyone? I'll entertain a motion for the next set of minutes?
I move to approve the meeting minutes of Friday, June 7th, 2024.
Second.
All right, motion made by Roger, seconded by Aaron. Any discussion?
So again, this one says unclear if a quorum occurred. So I know I attended. I think Aaron did you?
No, I haven't been to a Friends meeting in a little bit, so I don't.
No, it was. This
You
was
were
the.
there.
You were. It was in
Oh,
the
oh.
historic reading room. Remember?
It was the
was-
annual meeting.
Yeah, so maybe we should specify.
Yeah, I thought that you were
Oh,
there.
I see it. Yes,
Yeah.
it says graphic. Yep, you're
Yeah.
right.
And then wasn't Doug there too? And then Dina, I can't remember. Like, okay, so I think it was the three of us.
I was not there.
Yes, right.
Chris-
I was
And
not
Chris,
there either.
Chris definitely wasn't there.
Well, he wasn't appointed yet.
Yeah, and Stephanie definitely wasn't.
And you said Doug wasn't.
No, I think Doug was
Yeah,
there.
it
I
was
think
the three of us, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
the
Yeah,
three
we
of you, yeah.
Right.
I decided
You're right.
you had me not go so that it wouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
Okay.
That was my memory of it.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I declare the motion carried.
Carrie.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other would be I declare the motion defeated.
Okay,
Right.
thank you. Yes, I welcome any feedback or corrections on my terminology and everything.
Yep.
All right. I'll entertain a motion for the next set of minutes.
I declare a motion to accept the minutes of October 30th, 2024.
The July 29th?
Yeah, we
Skip one.
skipped the July. Yeah.
Okay. I declare. What? Sorry. Here we go. I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from July 29th, 2024.
Second. Second.
Motion made by Aaron and seconded by Roger. Any discussion on the minutes?
Yes, we had agreed at our last meeting, and we dug kind of deep, that it was on a Monday. July 29th was a Monday.
July 29th.
That was the one that I was absent. We were talking about, and I know you looked at your calendar,
Yeah.
John, and that was the one in the GCTV conference room. So that would be Monday, July 29th. And then the only other correction is that time was not captured. But what happened is, knowing that the meeting was called to order at 7:02, and I looked at the meeting today, and it went 2 hours 20 minutes, which would take us to 9:22 p.m. as the adjournment time. And that's the only corrections I have on that.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I declare the motion carried.
Oh, and I had, even though we voted on it, I know that Kim, you had sent us a second amended copy. What was the difference between the first draft and the second draft? Was it just grammatical?
It was just a couple of grammar.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion on the next
Yeah.
set of minutes?
I will make a motion to accept the minutes from the October 30th meeting 2024.
A second.
All right. Motion made by Aaron and seconded by Roger. Any discussion?
Yes. In the attendance section, I think the draft watermark covered over possibly Dana Wilson's name. Dana was in attendance at our last meeting, but I think the draft watermark covers up her name.
Okay.
But she was present. And then under approval of minutes, 3E, on the regular meeting of the April 24th, the open session portion, Aaron seconded the motion. And then still under 3, on the third page, 3K. So the second line on the third page, all in favor of the motion. The wording on the draft says all in favor of opposing the motion, when in fact it was all in favor of the motion, and then we declared the motion defeated. So, by removing the word opposing would make that read correctly, or else it would be a double negative. And then, under adjournment, the very last item, we adjourned exactly at 9 p.m. And that's all.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I declare the motion carried. Okay, and thank you once again, Roger, for your attention to detail with reviewing the minutes.
Thank you.
So, Mr.
Very welcome.
Vice Chair, so is the expectation then Kim makes the edits and submits them?
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's what we agreed on last time,
Perfect.
unless there's any objection to that. Okay,
Great, thanks.
Sounds good.
all right.
Yeah, the only reason I had done that on 2 of the executive sessions is because I had done the minutes at the time that we didn't have a scribe, so.
All right. So moving on to approve bills. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills from warrant 18, 19, and 21 in the amounts of $45,192.80, $3,345.04, and $7,898.49.
I second the motion.
All right, motion made by Aaron and seconded by Roger. Any discussion on the motion?
I guess it's implied that it's in the, from the sources contained in the schedule from the meeting packet.
Yes.
Yep. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I declare the motion carried. All right, moving on to ongoing business. Tom, do you have an update about the cupola?
I do. I sort of didn't think we would have any more updates about the cupola, but it seems that we're not quite done with the project yet. Though we've moved inside with it, so the cupola looks gorgeous on the roof. But as I understand it, when the project was being done, some damage occurred in the historic reading room on the ceiling.
That was prior to the
That was
to them
prior.
start.
Okay, was it? Okay.
That was, I think that was, I want to say that was how it was discovered, was that there was
Oh, okay.
stuff falling from the ceiling and then,
There was stuff
Yeah.
falling from the ceiling. So it wasn't too large, but it was unsightly, and so that was part of the project. And so now we've moved to that. I scheduled with the contractors to come. There's one group that came, and they came this week to contain the room. So we moved out a lot of things. We moved aside a lot, and they covered everything. They covered the floor. They covered everything in plastic. Did a great job. And built scaffolding so they could get up to where they needed to get to. Then we had to have an asbestos test, which
Oh, God.
yeah, I know, that's what I thought. I was a little concerned about that, but that was done yesterday. Came back today, and there was absolutely no asbestos.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
So I think we would have been okay anyway, because the way that they contained the room, the person who did the test said the way that they've contained the room would be to code for us. But if they did find asbestos, with that building being so old and everything else with that building. I was just sort of assuming that we'd find asbestos there, but there's not. So we're just moving ahead with that. So the good news was that the workers were able to start. They do the demolition, or they take it down, and then there's another group coming in next week, and they are going to be repairing and repainting just the center section. So it's not all three sections; it's just the center one. So the work is being done fairly quickly, which is what I had wanted. That's what I had arranged with them. We needed to have it done by December 8th because we're doing the Grafton Celebrates the Holiday. So that was that was the deciding factor. If it could be done by then, good, then we'll go ahead. If not, we'll start on December 9th. But they were very confident that they could get it done, and it looks like they're doing great. The room is closed to the patrons, which is a little unfortunate. Kim made up some great posters and posted them around the library, as well as on social media, as well as on our website. So we're letting people know that it's just a temporary
It's very
thing.
obvious that the room
It's
is
very
closed.
obvious. Yeah. I did bring the newspapers out of the room because that is one part of the collection that is very popular. And I have them right in front of my office, and I can tell you that I see a lot of people coming and looking for the newspapers. So I'm glad I did that. And we did make an arrangement with the workers that if we have things to pull from there, because the graphic novels are in there, those are also very popular. So if we had requests for those to go to other libraries, that we would be able to get in there during the workers' lunch break, as well as after 5 o'clock, so we can go and pull those if need be. Hasn't come up yet, but we have had some to reshelve. So the work is going fine.
I have a question with the, on the cupola. I know that prior to your tenure, Tom, we had talked about how much we should put aside and aside from a monetary, amount, what a maintenance plan would be. And like what the folks who repaired that and rebuilt that cupola, have they sort of given us any information of like what we need to do? Do we need to send a boom up there once a year to kind of look at it and see if there's any, like, how is that even done?
I'm not sure. They didn't share that with me. So,
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
There's the architect that helped us with the estimate, isn't his name, is it David King?
Oh, yeah.
He's known the project for, I don't know, 30 or 40 years. I think he's somebody that we could contact and ask him
Okay.
exactly that question.
All right.
okay.
Does Tom, do you have his number? I don't.
I know I've seen that name, so
Okay.
I believe I have that,
Alright.
and I certainly have connections with people who would
Yeah.
be able to give
Awesome.
me his contact information.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that would be the best thing.
Yeah.
I think he could be very.
Just so we could just monitor it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think that's a good investment.
I don't know if we need to do it yearly, because that could be costly, but we can figure it out. He'll be able to help you.
It's probably pretty good right now.
Right.
I think we're good for a little while,
Yep.
but I think it'd be a good idea to
Yeah.
to initiate some sort of
Definitely.
plan moving forward.
And the funding for that portion, I assume, was taken care of as part of their original.
It's all one lump sum. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
It came from different sources.
It
beautiful.
did come from
Yeah.
different sources,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it seems that it was all broken into incremental payments that were sort of regardless of where we were in the project.
Great.
So my question is, I guess, did this sneak up on us that there was additional work that needed to be done? And they just kind of showed up one day and said, okay, we're here to, repair the ceiling. Because it was in
No.
the scope of the project, right?
It was, as I understand it, and of
Yeah.
course, I came into this pretty late. By the time I got here, scaffolding was already on the roof. As I understand it, having worked with the town administrators, this was all well within the scope of the original project. It's not like something they discovered something when they were up there, or
Sure, I guess my point is, who's communicating with the next steps? Like, who's to say that they're not going to go and, do some work on the front columns or something, right? When is the project done?
this seems to be it.
I would say so. I think we kind of knew that because
Yeah.
that's been there for a while, that damage, and we knew we had to repair
Right.
it.
I
just
didn't.
think
I
we
didn't know
didn't talk
personally it was
about
in scope.
I don't think we talked about it.
Yeah.
I probably didn't think it was that relevant.
I had definitely talked about it to someone because every time I go into that room, I see it, and so I want to say that I had asked William or Evan about it one time, and they had informed me, I believe it was them, that when they finished work on the actual cupola, that's when they would go, you know, the next week or whatever it was, and start on the ceiling, because there's no point in repairing the ceiling if the cupola itself isn't repaired.
We definitely didn't talk about it in the meeting, but that makes sense. you know.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we weren't provided those details, but that's good that they're doing it, and it's not like it's an extra bill or anything, but
Nope.
it's just
Nope, it's all built
surprising
into
to
the
us that,
project.
like I was surprised when it was closed, but you explained it, so.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I just wanted to double check on the funding, because I was like, I think it's
Yeah.
already been paid for.
Yep.
I don't want you to.
Yep. In the process of being
Yeah.
paid for. Ongoing payments. Yes.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
fair. Okay, any other discussion on the cupola update? All right. Carrie, Friends update.
Wait a sec, but we didn't go through the rest of his report though, right?
Uh,
Or is that,
so
or-
that
That's
was-
not that.
Oh, okay, that was just the.
Yep.
Yep.
That's just.
Sorry, okay, yep, okay, sorry, I was looking at the cupola in your report, so
I know.
Yep.
I was all about director's report.
You know,
so-
by the time I get to my director's report, you've already heard it all.
which is okay.
I'll just give you a couple numbers and say thanks.
Okay. I was able to attend the Friends meeting last week, and they are thrilled to have the Friends Corner back, and the shelves are nice and full, and they're able to, to sell again. They're looking forward to Grafton Celebrates the Holidays, and they're going to once again do the book bundles and have those available for sale, which are really popular with the public. They're a great deal. They get really nice materials, and it's a great great way to kind of get started on holiday shopping. I did talk to them about collections of used books, and they what they're going to do going forward, and they actually posted this on the Friends website, and they're going to publicize it in the newsletter. Is they're going to accept donations on the first Friday and Saturday of each month. So this coming, in December, it's going to. They post. I actually was just looking at it here. Oops. Of course, now it went away. So the first dates are going to be Friday, December 7th, and Saturday, Friday, December 6th, and Saturday, December 7th. So they'll, accept gently used books, DVDs, CDs, games, and puzzles, and they're, very appreciative. So we're excited, that they're going to be doing that. At this point in time, they are not going to be reopening the drop bin, but they will, accept it, the donations during that point in time. The next meeting is going to be on Tuesday, December 10th at 7:30. That's via Zoom. So if anybody is interested in attending, certainly, and I'll share the Zoom information. So there was one. So there's one item that came up, and I just wanted to, share with the board. So, in the Friends room, there's two high round tables, and then there's there was one rectangular table, and I guess at some point the rectangular table was damaged, and so they haven't been in the room for quite some time, so they're not exactly sure what happened, but they were told like, oh yeah, that the table, it's gone. I don't know what happened to it. So they expressed like they would like to get a replacement table. They expressed interest if we do get a replacement table. Of course, if we get a replacement table, we would want it to match whatever the other furniture that we have, but they would prefer a round table instead of like a rectangular one. But we were hoping that we could. The friends were hoping that that could be replaced, and Tom, if that's something that we could price out, I would ask that we consider funding replacement of that, because it's it's library furniture, and it was something that, was really part of that room. So, so if you wouldn't mind,
I'll do a
you-
little investigating and find out where
That
we
would be
got
terrific.
the,
yeah, and then if we could
Furniture
have a
from
cost, then we
before.
could consider,
Yep.
like what possible funding.
sure,
And, yep, so I think that's it.
I just wanted to ask you a question, Carrie,
Sure,
and this is more for public consumption. All right, so is it the Friends that either subsidizes or pays entirely for the museum passes?
Yeah, so typically, what the Friends do, the amount varies, but in a regular year, this year's a little bit, different where the room was closed for, the Friends Corner was closed for a good part of the year. It's typically $10,000 a year
Right.
that the Friends contribute, that provide to the library, and, the bulk of it does pay for passes, but, so other programs as well. It's given kind of in a lump sum. In the past, there was kind of like individual items submitted, and then it was changed and basically said, okay, you have the discretion now, and so, so then there's just an ask, that you, at the end of the year, just kind of like a summary of like what it was spent on, is kind of nice. Like we had that at, the prior year, annual meeting, so maybe for this
the
coming
fiscal
year.
year?
good. Yes,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
fiscal year. That, it's just nice to, for them to see like where the money's going, because they're not like approving individual bills.
And just for, I mentioned that just to call attention to that being a huge public benefit, that a lot of people don't realize all the work that you're doing behind the scenes, and that museum pass program is just such a huge benefit.
Is it? Yeah.
Everyone loves that, so, and I'm one of those people, so,
Good.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Any other questions about the Friends or anything like that? All right. Director assessment update by Doug. So Doug's not here. I did check with him, and I believe last month we had decided that, and it was in the minutes we approved even, that we were just going to, Doug's going to continue to check in with Tom, I think on a monthly basis for now, and that's all. We don't need to provide any additional updates at this time.
And I had a question on that, and I don't have the contract in front of me, but the idea of, and I think this may be all employees, but in the contract too, about 6-month probationary period. So I know there's an annual review, but as far as a probationary period, is the expectation, I don't know the wording, I don't recall the wording of it, do we affirmatively say he's in the clear? Or lack of any adverse action simply means he's in the clear? In other words, that probationary period is boilerplate language in the contract. So how's that spelled out, and what, if anything, do we need to do affirmatively within that 6-month period, which would be December 4th, I think Tom's first date was.
Somebody's gonna have to look at the contract.
Yeah, and so we're at November 20th right now. So, I mean, we have an obligation, in my opinion, as a board to just confirm, what we need to do or not do prior to that date. And if we do need to do something, we would need to act quickly to have an interim meeting if we're required to vote.
Could someone just look at
Right.
find the contract?
Right.
I don't recall there being anything.
Right.
Doug probably, Doug may know. He's
Yeah.
not here.
Right. And so,
Do you want me to just reach out to Doug?
yeah, that would be a good idea.
Okay.
Just to tie up any loose ends in that respect.
All right, I will. I'll reach out to the chair. Just want to make sure I capture this because it's important. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Maybe tonight or tomorrow.
All right. And then the other thing about this is that the summary, summary of the conversation that occurred, that included various library directors or the managers, did they get a copy of that summary? We got it. Tom got it, but did they get it? And if not, that, in my opinion, would be beneficial for their consumption, that they would, since they were referenced as, okay, the conversation with these, individuals, this is how, the gist of it, that they would be able to see that, just that they don't object to any part of that summary. Because they were mentioned, specific managers were mentioned in that summary. And so I think it would be fair to have them see that, or at least that portion of their input.
I don't remember any of the input being specifically attributed to any of the department heads.
And that may be the nuance. I don't recall. I
So it
overlooked
depended
printing it.
who was met with, but there wasn't
No,
anything that said
it
this
didn't go
person
into
said
detail.
this.
Okay. So no specific things are, all right.
No.
Just to make sure, if you could, or Doug could just look that over, just to make sure that nothing was specifically attributed to any one individual where they should really be on the receiving end of that summary, so they could,
I don't know what kind of rebuttal there would be.
No, I'm not suggesting that there's anything
No, I'm not
that there
saying
would
that.
be a rebuttal, but I think if they're
Okay,
if
I
they-
see what you're saying.
yeah.
I think he's gonna look at
Like
it.
for
I don't recall a
accuracy.
name.
ju-
I
yeah,
guess,
just
or-
just
I don't recall
yeah.
one myself.
So
Yeah, I
Okay,
think I looked at it
sounds
earlier
good.
today.
I'm looking at it now. It just says like that Doug, John, and myself, and just mentioned the people that we met with in the time frame, and then separately, Doug's been meeting with Tom, and then just there was nothing specific. There wasn't anything that this person said this or that. It was just
so any
general stuff.
opinions preferred were just generally that it was staff mentioned without mentioning specific staff members' names.
The staff members were mentioned at the top,
Okay.
but none of the feedback was directly
Attributed to
attributed
any.
to them.
Okay, all right.
So I think it was more of a summary that Doug had made of
Alright.
all of the feedback that he had heard and heard through
Alright.
the other
Okay.
people, Carrie and myself, and I think Dana, maybe you interviewed someone too.
All right.
But I'll double check with Doug just to
Right.
make sure.
And is that something that normally then, even if nothing were attributed to any one individual, why that wouldn't be shared with those individuals that did attend?
I don't know. I don't get the relevance,
Yeah,
but
I don't know
I
that it
think
was.
Doug would be able to answer.
I don't know that it
your
was written for their consumption,
Okay.
like specific
Yeah.
people's consumption.
But it was shared. It was shared with us. It is now a public document because it was
Sure.
shared with us. But that.
Then it can be reviewed as part of the public,
Yeah.
review, right?
Right.
If it's a public document.
Right.
So
So I guess in the future, if it's not communicated in that fashion, then we would want to, I guess, clarify whether different types of documents are for public or not for public consumption. Because once it's shared in an email format to the committee, it de facto becomes a public document. So that's all.
Okay. Like I said, I'll check with Doug and just see if he has any opinion on it. But it seems like, at least for now, unless Doug feels strongly, we're not going to share it
All right.
any further. Okay. Any further questions or comments on the director assessment update? Okay. Walkabout. So, Chris is not here, but him and I did the walkabout. And prior to that, Kim, thank you so much. Kim had set up the punch list. So we have a running punch list now
fantastic.
that I believe
Really great.
is like hosted on the library's, Microsoft Share kind of thing, right? So, so I guess in the future, if we have anything, we can forward them to Kim. and get them added to the list.
That's huge. That punch list, it's this, when you look back at all of the things that we monitor, and the last time we did have a punch list, to have that back is huge. So that's awesome.
So, and I think you sent it out to everyone,
I
right?
sent it to both you, Aaron, and actually Chris. Would you like me to send it out to the full committee?
I would say send it out to the full committee, so everyone, as long as I mean, if we're able to access that document as it gets updated, that'll be great, because we can, in theory, review that every month before our meeting, just to kind of see the status of everything.
And then if we notice things too, we can always like let you know too, to add it. Like last night, Dana and I were in one of the conference rooms and we heard like a funny noise, so, you know, so.
Well, I think the intention to have this is so that we can prioritize, you know,
Yeah.
what we feel as a board, you know, needs to be
Right.
looked at and worked on.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have that running record of just what has already been reported to, so we don't have to keep reporting the same thing as well. So Chris and I mean, we didn't really find that much. Again, I forwarded this to Kim, and Chris added his thing to forward to Kim, and I'll reference his too here. But yeah, real quick, there's the doors were being worked on by Puritan, I think, and so there were these funny plastic things inserted into the doors in the community room, like where the lock slot would be. There was just like a plastic insert. I don't know what that is. They were removable. So I don't know. I figured something.
You mean to prevent them from locking?
I have no idea what they're for, but like for example, the doors to the kitchen area from the community room, the lock was in theory removed, and there was a black plastic insert that looks like it was designed to fit in there, so it probably serves a purpose, but I don't know what it is. So I don't know if they just left them there by
That
accident.
had nothing to do with Puritan,
Oh, okay.
the installation. They weren't working on any doors other than
Okay.
they weren't really working on any doors, frankly.
Okay.
It was all behind.
Okay.
So
Maybe
I
that
don't know
was
what those are, so I'll take a look. to see
yeah.
what those are.
So
Yeah.
which, are you talking from the kitchen area back to the lobby, or the kitchen area back to the community room?
in the community room into the community room's kitchen.
Oh, okay.
That was at least one of them. I think one of them was on the exterior door next to that kitchen as well.
So
But-
what side what side would it be locked from? Like, could you, in other words, is it to prevent someone from being locked into the kitchen? You need a secondary egress? Is that the reason why?
I don't know. I will say we touched the the thing and the alarm chirped, so we just kind of stopped touching it, just
Okay.
to not cause any more
I don't
problems. but
remember an alarm on.
You sure you were in our library?
I
I've never
double
seen-
with
I've
Chris,
never
but,
noticed
It was a bad
I-
dream. It was a bad dream.
I don't remember seeing them before, but I don't remember like specifically looking at the doors
I'll take a look.
before either. Yeah,
I'll take a look.
maybe just check into it.
That's why we have the walkabout, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's been stranger things I feel like that have come up. So, so there's some mud wasp nests on the front of the building, the overhang. Maybe the DPW can tackle that. I think they've been there for a while, so I don't think it's a big priority. It's not like a huge thing. I don't think it's any sort of danger, but probably clean it up. Community room ceiling. So I don't think we identified any new like stained tiles or anything. So maybe now is the time to actually go and get those replaced. I don't know who's responsible for doing that. If it would be like DPW or our custodian or somebody else. But in theory, if we can replace those tiles, then we'll be able to identify if something is leaking
Yeah,
at
that's
some
a good
point in the
idea.
future. There's also like a spot where like the paint had sagged down when it filled with water. So that can probably be patched up too. The door overhang, I didn't check them all, but as we were getting close to the parking lot, one of the community rooms doors, I think they all do, but they have like this funny little overhang thing. I don't know what the term for that is, but it just looks really dirty. I think maybe it's from stuff splashing over from the green roof, something like that. So that probably just needs to be cleaned up, maybe in the springtime or something like that. Chris had mentioned that the one tower, so 2 out of the 4 plugs, is out of order. And then he also mentioned that
What do you mean by?
Are you talking about
Charge.
electrical vehicles?
the charger, sorry,
Oh, the okay.
Electrical
yeah,
vehicles?
the
Okay.
the EV charger, yeah.
EV charger, okay.
And then he also mentioned it looks like the price is set to free right now on the.
It has been, I think. Hasn't it?
No.
It's
I thought it was.
I don't think it's supposed to be free.
Oh, okay. I thought Beth said that. Maybe I'm wrong.
So, what I remember from our discussions with Beth is that yes, it's on like library property, which is I guess town property. So the money goes to the town, but I believe the town sets the rate for it as well.
And that makes sense. That somebody's
Well-
got to be paying the cost to that. So.
Yeah, or rather, if I take a step back, I believe we would use the rate that the town set, but I don't. I want to say that maybe the library controls it, so that might need to be something we look into
Okay.
about
Yeah, Evan would help with that.
about getting that updated.
And I don't think we ever finished a policy for that one. I'm looking at the website now. Is it under? No,
it might
it's
be
not
under parking.
Is it under parking?
It might be. I know we had made some changes to that at some point because there was a lot of stuff in there, like the actual price and things like that, which we were trying to.
I see it now. It
What does
says
it say?
an hourly fee will be charged. Please scan the QR code on the charging station for current rates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, unless the town at some point decided to make all their chargers free and maybe the interim directors went and updated it, I don't know. So, just something to look into.
Does anybody have an EV?
I wish I did because there's free electricity at the library.
Don't spread the word.
I mean, there's it says you're supposed to use an amp up app. So I think maybe that's the only way you can pay for it, or maybe it's a credit card swipe. I've never used them, so because I wonder what it says in the app.
They have some now in the municipal building. Isn't there some additional ones? We had the first ones. I thought we had them somewhere else.
I thought there were somewhere else in town too, but I don't remember.
It's new, relatively new.
Okay.
Great catch, thanks.
Yeah, that was. Oh, it looks like it still has the old director's contact information as well. So maybe that can get updated too. Okay, so other than that, after Kim shares the punch list with everybody, feel free to take a look at that and see. I'll just call out this because it was something that the librarians brought up to us when Chris and I were there. It was like the temperature in parts of the library is still an issue. So, but I did see that's already on the punch list, and I think that's already being taken care of, sir. So,
And I had a comment when I was there. It was brought to my attention regarding the exterior. When you look up at ductwork, the exterior of the ductwork, I consider like my own personal experiences of how every few months my ceiling fans get covered with soot and dust. So I guess the exterior of the ductwork looking up, and what our plan would be to just check that out and see what type of deep clean would be necessary in that or other sort of nooks and crannies that we may not readily see until we take a close look. And so that's something that would be worth looking into.
okay, that's a good.
The
that's
library
good.
could use a full deep clean.
Okay.
A what?
A deep clean.
I think so.
The entire thing.
Right.
Because it's beyond the scope of what we can ask our maintenance crew
Yeah.
to be doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
What they're doing is fantastic, but it is daily
that
maintenance.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And
It's been a few years.
there are certain areas of the library, there's certain vents that that we need something much more extensive.
So on that note, I believe in the past, because of the issues with the teen room, they would get the carpet cleaned. They were getting the carpet cleaned kind of regularly,
Okay.
maybe a few times. And I think what they had done is tried to schedule it over,
Memorial Day break?
yeah, like over the
I've
3-day
heard,
weekends
yeah.
and things like that. So,
Yep.
I don't know if it's short notice with Thanksgiving coming up, if that could be done, or
Oh, yeah.
at
You're
the very
talking
least,
about-
maybe Christmas break. I don't know.
Are you talking like real, like dusting and cleaning dirt and stuff like that,
I'm
right?
talking about a deep clean.
Yeah, so
yeah.
that might take a few days.
That's gonna take, yeah, but
You have to find a
Well, I
things
mean-
like that are
do
usually
it.
done over a long weekend, right? When
Yeah.
The library's gonna be closed, so
So-
it gives time to dry.
Yeah.
Before we have patrons coming in.
So I guess, does it make sense? So if it's not done by like our maintenance crew, like, is it, like, do you need to get a quote from an outside service?
I would
It's
think.
gonna have to.
Yep.
Okay. Because we
So-
do
I
have,
think that's what we need.
I believe the town does have like a carpet cleaner, but maybe that's out.
But it's not just like he wants like the vents cleaned, like it.
Oh,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
every-
not,
okay.
right. I mean, that would be part of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
and
we need something more extensive than that.
Yeah, so I think
Okay.
if you come with a proposal, you
Yep.
know, I think that it makes a lot of sense.
I would say too, I don't know if we have time, I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to help Tom, but I have noticed in different places in the library where there's spots on the carpet and even on some of the furniture. So I think it might need to be looked at to find out what you want done and so to make sure it is done. But a deep clean is really necessary.
All right.
Definitely, I mean, you know, it's hard to believe, but, you know, it's been open for a few years now,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
you know,
This is a public
it still
building
feels
and-
new to
Yeah.
us, but
Right.
it's, you know.
So you'll research vendors or whoever
Yep.
does that sort of.
Yeah.
I will find out, well, I'll start with the town, see who they bring
Yeah.
in for things like that.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
And,
And then I just had a question. I was in the library last night, and one of like in the ladies' room, one of the bathrooms was out of service. Was that just like a temporary thing, or yeah? Okay, so nothing that you.
nothing I know of, no,
Okay.
no.
John, I was able to pull up the vehicle chargers on the app,
Yeah.
and you're correct.
They're free.
It says hour price $0 per hour.
Okay.
I swear to God, I thought Beth said that. I could be wrong.
They-
A long time ago.
Definitely were not free at some point in time.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
almost positive
Okay.
about that.
And,
Something's
and
happened.
2 out of 4 of them are out of order, like you mentioned.
Yeah, because I think Chris was saying there's 2 of them, and then one of them there's 2 chargers for each tower, so one of them is not working.
Yep.
So that means half of them are down.
And since we're on the topic of chargers, I know that the town is looking to address the single charger in the back of this building, and it's related to our situation is that when these, and there actually I think is something being done at the state level regarding ADA compliance, regarding we don't actually technically have like handicapped accessible spaces for those chargers. And so,
They're not because they're right by the they're right in the front. But that's
no, but they're adjacent to each other,
so
so
it's not enough room.
there's not enough room there's no access aisle. So it's my understanding that notwithstanding, I guess maybe we're waiting for the state to come up with regulations as this is like a new thing
Yeah.
and that,
Good point.
It is a
So-
good point. Yeah.
You might have to have one less then,
yeah, it may reduce, well, or
or reduce the space.
reduce an adjacent non-EV space on one of those.
Okay.
But it's my understanding that the state is in the works with coming up with regulations in that respect. So maybe
Okay.
maybe we're sort of in a passive waiting mode
Okay.
on that. And I think that, and I had brought this up regarding the EV space in the back of this building. And so
Okay.
anyway,
You brought that up with the town?
I brought that up with the town. I forget who I brought it up with, but I was told that the state is looking to put together, or maybe even in the process of putting together, those type of regulations that would be like Mass Architectural Access Board
Okay.
regulations regarding EV spaces needing to comply with non-EV space requirements, as far as having at least one of those EV spaces be accessible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah,
So we'll keep an eye on that and see if that's something we need to change in the future.
Yeah, because if we need to do something, we want to make sure that we don't want to do something and then find out like, oh, you need it to be like a few
Yeah,
inches
exactly.
wider or something. So
Yeah.
we want to find out what is
Yeah, you
the
don't want it-
regulation and then
Yeah.
and then comply with
Yeah,
it.
no good deed goes unpunished, right? So, anyway.
All right. Any other walkabout discussion? All right. Let's move on to staff appreciation under new business. Was anyone assigned to this?
Well, Tom, I think you were going to go back to the library staff to see if they might be interested in hats. Cindy, we talked about you last time. So we recall.
I remember, she's the one.
We recall. We were, when we talked previously about staff appreciation, some thoughts of like maybe like a lightweight jacket might be nice for the librarians, or or hat or something like that. And I kind of recall that you had some thoughts about that.
It was a while ago, I do
don't
too.
remember. I
It
do
was-
remember the conversation, but I don't remember what the desires were, whether it was hats or caps or.
I think it was
or
jackets, but
jackets.
Yeah, I thought you said you something.
But
Maybe it was Sarah.
No, it was her.
A little bit
She-
later.
I recall. But maybe now's the time for us to find out, is that something that you
And-
would
Why
do
not do
for
a
us?
survey?
And I guess a
Quick
point of
survey.
order, Mr. Chair, if there's gonna be a substantive conversation just for public consumption, if Cindy wouldn't mind getting up to one of the mics,
Oh,
because on playback,
Oh, yeah,
really,
you can't hear.
where
Oh, I'm
you're,
sorry. Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to be heard on the audio typically, sitting where you're at, so,
Would you like to come up? Thank you. And thank you, Roger.
you're welcome.
So sorry. So yeah. So if you wouldn't mind, just like we were just.
I
saying-
remember us having the conversation, and I remember that there were a bunch of different ideas passed around, like with hats and jackets and caps or things like that. But I don't remember what was the consensus of what people wanted. So I think a good idea would be to come up with ideas that you think would be kind of fun and it's kind of swag or ways to promote the library when we're out at different events like
Well, that-
National Night Out and the different North and South Grafton's, what is it, Oktoberfest,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
The fun
the
fair.
fun fair,
fair. Yeah.
for things like that where we are a presence so we can have.
I think we're talking about some kind of attire.
Yeah, I mean, like a lightweight jacket. Like if we're talking about Oktoberfest and the fun fair, those are in the spring and the fall, and that's it would be nice for the library staff. But
Because we have a lot of new staff, so they
do,
don't
yeah.
they don't have
They
the,
don't
the
have
really
them, yeah.
fabulous jackets that you got us the last time that I still wear all the time because it's just a really great jacket.
so the one that you had already, like that, are you? I guess are you thinking about something lighter for this time, or is that like something that was a good?
She doesn't recall.
I
but
don't
She did say
recall.
it was lighter, but that was like a year.
Yeah,
Was that like
I-
a year and a half ago? Could have been
Yeah.
almost 2 years ago. But so, should we just, one of us want to research that? I thought we were thinking attire because people see you in it and it's just
Yeah.
something that's kind of professional looking. I think something other than a hat, but it's really up, whatever people think. Because you're like the ambassador of the library and you're in a very public
Maybe
setting.
even like a zip up fleece or something
Yeah.
like that. But that's just me, what I would like, because I love fleece jackets. But
Does somebody want to work on that?
It's kind of like the chicken and egg because like
how about
There's-
just doing a straw poll? Say,
yeah.
here are some of the
probably-
things that we're
yeah.
thinking about: a hat, a fleece jacket, a jacket
Yeah.
like we had before, maybe a nice shirt or something, and then put other, and then let people put in what they want, and then maybe you have an idea of what.
I think that would be like I'd be willing like if you wouldn't mind doing like the straw poll, I wouldn't mind like if it then comes back and everybody's like, oh, we really want a fleece, like I wouldn't mind researching those those options. But I think that's it's kind of helpful to just have a general sense of, like, you know, if people like don't want hats or don't want, you know, something, don't want to spend a lot of time like.
But we're
Exactly.
thinking that it would be nice for them to have something when they're out in public, because they're out in public a
Oh,
lot.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to defer to Tom because, you know,
Yeah.
he's,
It's his stuff.
it's his staff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some ideas, right, would be good. And then I think the best
Yeah.
idea would be if I could pass this on to Kim to put together a doodle poll
Sure.
to send around.
Awesome.
But if we can have some ideas that we could throw out there.
Yeah, well, I think like lightweight jackets, you had,
Please.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
want to, you know, I don't want to just throw it out there and people say, you know,
I
like
think
a
you have to.
Mercedes, you know, I mean, whatever. I don't,
Yeah, I think
There's
too,
only
it
about
yeah.
20 of us, so, you
Yeah.
know.
It should also be explained what the purpose, or just that, you know, because we know that you're in the public's eye.
Right. What would be appropriate to wear, you know, out to
Yeah,
an event
to
when you're
represent.
promoting the library? Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of times, you go visit the schools too, and saw, you know, just you come into the schools at not a specific event. So
Exactly.
I think it should be professional, is what I think.
yeah.
Would you be able to put together a doodle poll and send that around too?
Yes.
If you could actually give me if you could create it and then give me the link and I'll put it in my weekly report
Okay.
to send around to the staff. And then we
Yeah,
get
and-
some, then
and
we
it-
can elicit some feedback.
Yeah, and if they did,
Idea.
if somebody, like, you had an example of a style that they liked, you know, too, like, that would certainly be helpful, you know, to know, like, you know, do you want, like, you know, shorter, you know, just
I think you have to
ideas.
start and figure out what they want, and then you're gonna have to research and see what you can find within that category. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, but if somebody's like, oh, I saw a great style, this is something kind of nice,
okay.
that would be helpful. Like, I'm not saying that they have to, if, you know, if they can, you know, provide.
Let's start with a
something.
poll and I'll provide some feedback for you.
Awesome.
And I guess will that poll then be other, so it's open-ended where maybe people can simply opine none of the above and here's my thoughts,
I think we can offer that as an option, right?
I can write in the Mercedes.
right in
Right.
the Grafton Public Library tattoo. Yeah.
Um,
Free ink,
God.
free ink. Yes.
color?
Yeah.
Color?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Might do that.
all
It'd
right.
have to be green, but
Yeah.
other than that.
Mom and Grafton Public.
Grafton
Library.
Public, yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Good.
Just a thought. Or you could just do henna, you know, but anyway.
So,
Alright.
so to that end, are we? I don't want to say we're scrapping the idea of a get together because that's generally what we have done as long as I've been a trustee. And sorry, we were in a COVID period, so we didn't have get-togethers, right? So we haven't really had a true get-together, I think, since COVID, right? Is that true statement, or did we do one last year?
I have not been to one since I've been on the board, and I'm at 2.5 years.
Yep.
So,
So I'm okay with, you know, evolving and doing something different that might be more meaningful for the staff. But, you know,
Right.
potentially if we're going to be polling, it would be a great idea to understand, like, if that's something that the staff really value, you know, is the get together with the trustees. Because I value that, and I'd like them, you know, I'd like feedback from the staff as well.
okay, so
Do you want to make that part of that poll? Ask that
If we
question.
can work it in some way.
Yeah, because the word, I'm looking at this agenda item, it's staff appreciation, and so I think the scope would go, you're right, beyond just clothing. you
Well, we
know,
did
or
think about, we did talk
Yeah.
about it,
Yeah.
because Aaron really thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
so just to be clear, Carrie, were you going to kind of take over for the jacket or the swag
Well,
portion,
when-
or
when
once
it
we hear
comes-
back?
Yeah, once we hear back, I'm happy to help with
Okay.
that, yes.
All right, and if you need help, reach out. But I just kind of wanted to
Yeah,
put a name to it.
Yeah, I think that would be, you know, I think it'd be a great way to appreciate the library and also to, you know, build like a sense of, like, you are a library team and, you know, let the public know who our wonderful staff
Okay,
team is, so.
great. And thank you, Cindy, for your input as well. Okay. So any more discussion on staff appreciation? Okay, let's move on to new library door locking system. Tom.
All right, so we are just about there. We have almost all the pieces in place. Excuse me. So Purinton, which is the company that we have moved on to, is the company that it handles all of the municipal buildings, which was a large part of why we decided to move to them. As well, that even when we were with the previous company, they were the ones who were providing support for us because they were just nicer. But I scheduled that, and so it required quite a bit of legwork and coordinating. There were a number of requirements we had to have in place before we could move forward with it. Those were put in order. Scheduled some configuration, some remote sessions with them to go over what our system currently was and to get some training as to how the new system will work. The staff, their technicians were on site 2 different days to install the new. It was both hardware and software. So they installed the panels. They basically just moved out the old panels and put in the new panels. All the wiring, blessedly, was in place. So the good part about having the brand new building was that they didn't have to do all that much with configuring the building itself. It was really just hooking up their panels to it.
Great.
The software was installed. We just ran into some issues with some things about our building, in that like there was a jack with 3 outlets for landlines and for network cables, and of the 3 jacks, only one of them was working, which was already being used. So little things like that came up. The IT from the town was fantastic, helping out and on support and on call. So kudos to Jonathan from the town to help out in helping with that. Where we are now is that the staff cards are working. So the staff is now able to enter through the secure staff entrance. So we're no longer doing what we were doing with that in the morning, which was opening a side door by in the community room, which I never felt comfortable with, but it was what we had. Now the staff comes in securely through the staff door. So that's nice. The doors are locking and unlocking when they are supposed to. The only part that we're waiting for now is that during the previous time when the system was not working, in order to secure the building and open at night and open the building in the morning, we were required to remove the mullion. Everybody know what a mullion is?
Yeah,
The bar
Yeah.
that's in the center of a double door.
I've seen it.
There's your word of the day. In order to secure the building and open the building, we had to remove the mullion. We were doing it twice a day. Taking it out, putting it back in, and it got damaged by doing that, because you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to leave it in unless you're moving a piano in.
It's very cumbersome.
It is cumbersome, and so it is just literally a hair off. But none of the library staff have been able to get it back into the slot. That said, when DPW was visiting over in the early fall, they were able to get it back in. So it is possible. And so now we're just waiting for somebody from DPW to come, which is already scheduled. I mean, it's not scheduled, but I put that request in, so when it gets to the top of their list, they're going to come and do that, and they will put the mullion back in, and then we will be all set to completely work with the new front door locking system.
And that would be great to have it done before the snow starts too. So
Before the snow, yeah. So, yeah. Yep.
Do you think that'll be fairly soon?
I expected it this week already,
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay, great.
At the last department head meeting for the town department heads, I was speaking to the head of DPW, and he said, yeah, we'll get right on that. So it will be any day now.
Awesome.
So
So at the department head meeting, it might be a good idea, since this is your first winter, to really understand, the, you know, what it means to make sure that the library lot is clear, especially when we have significant snowstorms and while, you know, or ongoing snowstorms while the library is open, to make sure it's cleared and safe for people to use, because, you know, there's, and you'll understand this, I hope, I'm heading some, you know, conversations off that you might have to have soon. But the library's open on Saturday, right?
yeah,
So, and the town is not, right? And the library's open until 8 p.m. The town is not,
right.
right? So the library really needs a lot of special considerations when it comes to snow removal.
Yep.
So, I don't know if you started to have those talks yet, or I just want to kind of put that in your brain, because
Yep.
you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah. And also too, this is the first winter that the library is open early at 9 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. Before, you know, the staff used to come in earlier, but it is
Right.
now for the public open too, so they might not be aware that we made that change too.
Sure.
So you might want to
Yep.
mention it.
Yeah, that's probably one of the hardest things for opening a library is snow removal
That's
in the
right.
morning to get it ready for public use,
Right.
right?
they have to
Because
do the
the
schools.
snow happens
Yeah.
overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Schools
It was
open earlier,
challenging.
right?
Yeah.
So,
We
yeah.
should let them know it was challenging.
I think we decided that if there's ever a question about whether to close the
Yeah.
library or not, a lot of it has to do with contacting the town. I think the police chief, in terms of like, is it a public safety hazard to keep the library open? So there's those sort of discussions too, you know, that can help. Because really, we rely on your your guidance on to close the library or not. Certainly, if we feel it is a, you know, we'll say, hey, Tom, you need to close the library, but really, we're relying on your guidance.
And discretion.
Aaron, has there historically been, if the schools, let's say, have a delay, do we go along with the school delay notwithstanding our ability to, let's say we were completely clear?
I'll look at the policy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
I
have to
just-
look at that.
Yeah.
I do know that we have delayed it when we couldn't get, if we
Right.
couldn't get things, if it could not be cleaned by DPW.
Right. And I guess my
we-
question
yeah.
is that even if it were clear, and Aaron mentioned he'll look into whether there is something in the policy that mentions, like, let's say it's
Yes.
completely spotless and we're ready to open at 9, but then the schools are delayed till 10, let's say, or whatever.
If the Grafton Public Schools are closed or evening meetings are canceled by Grafton Public Schools and or the town of Grafton, but the library remains open, all scheduled library programs will be canceled. The library has discretion to make independent decisions about canceling programs due to inclement weather and encourages patrons to consider their own safety first and foremost. So it really just talks about
The back end of the schedule and other times, but not the front.
canceling programs
Right.
when school's closed. So it doesn't necessarily say if schools are closed, the library's closed.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if schools are delayed, the library has to follow suit if
I don't
we're
think-
clear.
So we're
Okay.
really, it's at our discretion
Yeah.
and, you know, the guidance from Tom.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So who makes the decision?
You do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I've been in discussion with William Blake, and what we agreed was that if the town is closed, then we'll be closed. And so we've already set up for him to, because he gets the alerts pretty quickly, that he is going to send me a text for those instances. We've already established, thank you, Kim, our phone tree.
Mm.
So
Oh,
we
good.
have that, and that's been distributed to all the staff, so that everybody knows where they are on the phone tree. So there are requirements for that. So once the decision is made, then the procedure that will be followed for that. So for regular days, we're pretty clear. But and as Aaron was mentioning, the the part to figure out is the part about like when we're open later than the town closes up at noon on Friday. Well, we don't, so we need to figure that out. And Saturdays they're not open at all, right? So
So I think, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the policy it's kind of addressing a lot of what you're mentioning.
okay.
So it's probably a good idea to just familiarize yourself.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because I probably misspoke, but it's all spelled out right here.
Yeah.
But, sorry,
Yep.
continue. Yep.
So does that include, is there ever a situation where on the municipal side, there would be a municipal delay, and does that agreement with William about if the town is closed, the library is closed, is there a situation about whether if there's a municipal delay, that there's a corresponding library delay in the opening?
As I
That's
understand.
presumed?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I've also been in contact with, I've been talking about this with the head of our children's room, because she's been around for quite a while, and she forwarded me a whole slew of information, including
Yeah.
emails from the previous director, so about what was sent out to staff and what was
Awesome.
released.
Because I think what's going to be the more common situation is not that the town's shutting down, but that the schools have a delay or are closed, but
Yeah.
the town itself may be open. Like, I think that's probably more common.
Yeah, it'll be challenge. Well, I hope it won't be challenging, but you know, some of the things that we understood is some of the staff are traveling from other towns, and they may have different types of weather in their towns.
Right.
And the policy says if you don't have enough staff to open the library, you have to,
right.
Yeah.
you know, you won't be able to open the library, right? So.
I mean, not to dwell on the negative stuff, but we did have times where it wasn't clean.
Yeah.
The lots weren't clean, and it wasn't really that, it wasn't good.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I've-
I mean, but it sounds to me, I mean, it seems like we've had growing pains, and now we're getting more, we've faced things, and now we know what we should be able to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's good, Tom, that you're very close, you're close by, so it's
Yeah.
not gonna be as difficult.
Yeah, and thank you, Aaron and John and and the previous director and folks that worked on the policy, because it's great to have it. So Tom, you have this really great resource to
But
be able to use.
but this is a new situation for me.
Yeah.
So if people know about what was done in the past and you have suggestions as to
Yeah, I would say
what to follow through with,
sounds like you're already
I think
Thinking
doing the
about
right
it.
thing. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
lean on
got
the
it.
DPW, lean on
Yep.
The
other
only-
staff who've been through the winters in Grafton.
Yep.
And just open communication with the other town leaders.
Yeah, I think that would be important. I just remember that Beth a couple times had to get help because it wasn't cleaned. I don't know if that situation may have been mitigated, but I think that's the thing that you might have to worry about. Because
Yeah.
they have a lot of work to do. If they're
There is,
the
yeah.
TPW, they're
I
getting
mean-
all the schools together, and then they
Yeah.
have to do the library. They're like taxed to the max.
I mean, we're not, and we shouldn't be the top priority.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, they've got to get the schools
Yeah.
Yeah.
ready first. And,
Okay.
I'm fine with that,
Okay, good.
but I'm in contact with DPW.
I'm sorry, I derailed the conversation.
Yeah,
Where are we?
but
Sorry.
but I think it was a productive conversation, and
Totally.
Because we
and
might
something
get
that-
snow, but I don't know.
I'd
None of us
rather
know.
I'd rather us have this conversation now than for a disaster to happen,
Yeah.
and then we have to have the
Yeah,
conversation
yeah.
after the
No,
fact.
it's
So,
smart. It's November. We should be getting snow soon.
yeah, don't say that.
So the new locks are fine, thanks.
Okay,
I love snow.
great.
Okay.
Okay,
I had a couple of questions actually.
Okay.
Is it?
on the doors.
So I know there's discussion about the community room door, and how the public could start using that. Have we come to a decision as a board? Is that on the
That's
agenda?
That's on the agenda.
Yeah,
it's-
we're getting
So,
there.
so I'll wait. Are we gonna see a bill for the new door lock company? That's out of budget, and do we need to budget for, this in the future, do they have maintenance that we have to pay on an annual basis, or would we pay them time and materials when there's a problem? So like you call them up and we get built that way.
Yeah, as I understand it, yes.
Time and
Yes,
materials?
yep.
Okay, so those would come to the board for now. In the future, would that be something that could be added to the budget? If we reasonably know what those costs might be.
And were we given the option of a maintenance agreement? Does such a thing even exist? Since they didn't put everything in, they just kind of retrofitted it?
Right, right. No.
That was the biggest problem with this other company, is that we
Right.
were paying $1,500 every time you had to call them.
Right.
I don't,
That's why we were using this other company then, because they were much better for us.
okay. Yeah, I mean, if you could look into it, otherwise, you know, and certainly we need to build it into the budget. And
But
even if we don't
Well,
expend it.
That's
Yeah.
a bigger question. What about
Yeah.
facility maintenance? I don't know how much we have in the budget. You know, we have a
Well,
bigger building and there's more nuances to it.
Well, I'm saying we'll have to, those bills will come to the board. So we need to expect that until it can be built into the budget.
Right, okay, that makes sense.
And I'm wondering,
Take a little while.
along the lines of how much we had been spending, it would be interesting to see how much we spent or overspent by having this faraway company come in, and now we're looking upon it maybe as an economic gain. Maybe the amount of money that we have been spending is kind of already built in.
Sure.
It could be.
Okay.
That's all.
So we'll wait and see, I guess, if any expenses arise over the next couple of years in relation to the doors and locks and stuff.
Right, so you have a line item on the budget where you can build these sort of, okay, and then anything over and above the expended budget would come to the board.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Okay. Any more questions about the doors?
So does that mean they're operational now? Fully operational?
No, they're
As
waiting.
soon as we get the mullion back in.
Okay, that
Then they
thing
are.
I don't understand, but that's okay. All right, the mullion back, okay.
It's
I'll have to
to
go
be able
look
to
at
lock
it.
the door. It's this big bar, and you have to shove it between the two doors to lock it, and then without
I
that-
think I've never seen it.
Okay, so,
That's okay, I'll go look for it.
okay, stop in, I'll show you.
yeah.
All right.
Stop in, so when you push open the doors or when you do the handles, the locking system
The latches.
retracts.
Okay.
Lockers? I don't know.
Latches.
Latches? I
Okay.
don't know the technical terms.
Yeah,
They retract, right? But they need something to grip onto in order not to be openable.
okay.
Okay, so if the mullion's there, it blocks it. So the door is locked. It's stiff. It can't be open. But if there's no mullion there, you can still just pull it open.
Okay,
Does that
yeah.
kind of make sense?
And then once it's fixed, it's gonna be automatic. We won't have to do any lifting.
They won't have to use the chains to lock the.
We will not
And
have,
no lifting.
Yeah.
They won't have
No
to
swing
remove
set
the
chains
mullion.
anymore.
They won't have to use the chains.
Yeah.
They can
Right.
go
It's
in.
the mullion they have to put in the sorting room. Like it's a whole big thing. Like I happened to be there like
Yep.
on a Saturday when they had to
It's
do
not a good system.
So will it be an automated thing or is it still manual, I guess?
it.
when
The mullion will just be there permanently,
Mullion-
and then they'll just
Oh, all
lock
right.
it.
Yeah.
I think we need to move on.
The
Okay,
software,
gotcha.
Yeah, I think we are.
software
I think we
locks
need a
and
drink
unlocks
if we ever
as
get
well
that
as turning
fixed.
on and off the ADA compliant doors.
Okay,
All
all right.
Further questions can be
Yeah,
directed
we
to
got
Tom,
it.
and Tom will give you a demonstration.
Stop by.
All right. Strategic plan, Roger.
I'd simply asked Doug to put this on as new business. It's having a strategic plan or not have, actually, the absence of an updated strategic plan simply prevents us from getting either planning grants or construction grants or new ones. And right now, that's not in the near future, so there's no harm, no foul as far as being prevented from doing something or being able to qualify for some type of, grant. But it's just that right now we're kind of like 4 years overdue. So I just figured I'd have it put on.
Yeah, we should put for it.
Yeah. So we have it put on the agenda to say, all right, this is something we'll want to be looking at. in the reasonably near future. I know you're still getting your feet wet. There's a ton of stuff going on in this building this year that's being addressed, but it's just something that is a loose end. And so,
We definitely have to do it. We
Yeah.
always did it. So,
yes,
I mean,
and,
we've
and
gotta
so,
do it.
So
Yep.
may I? Roger.
yeah,
I reached out for a strategic planning consultant. So I have somebody who's willing to work on that with us, but
Awesome.
we had tabled it because
right.
we weren't ready to take that on,
Okay.
and we had lost
All
the
right.
director.
And
at
is
the
it
time.
typically about three sessions, 4 sessions,
Yeah.
or meetings like, and then
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the last time we did one during COVID, because I remember it was at the church.
Okay.
Yeah,
Temporary location.
temporary location. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we only had the one session and then COVID. You know.
Yeah, I think it's smart to leave this on so we start a dialogue about it.
All right. And then the other thing is, do we set, do we just, anyone who's interested is on, or do we set parameters about how many people
There's-
and
yeah,
what the
there's-
selection process is?
There's a,
Okay.
Yeah, so we can discuss that
Yep,
when we get there. But
sure. But I just figured it's just a good thing to just
yeah,
now be on our
yeah,
radar.
I think we need to come to grips with that pretty quickly and figure out when we're gonna get it and how we're gonna get it done and the due dates and all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah,
well,
I had agreed to take the lead on that the last time,
Okay.
and be on that strategic planning committee. So I'm happy to take that up again.
Thanks for doing that, Aaron.
Yep.
That's awesome.
yeah. We're making really good progress. I think on a lot of the major issues going on in the library. So maybe in the new year or sometime soon we can
Yeah.
we can take a look at that.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for getting that on our radar, Roger.
Cool.
All right. Moving on. Community room public reservations. Dana.
I didn't know it was gonna be on the agenda. I guess I
Okay.
overlooked it. Well, I guess, I think what we were talking about is that we wanted to find out.
Do you want me to give an intro?
Yeah, because we were discussing about how we can get the community room back and working.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it, using it for library events and then opening it to the public and how we do that.
Yeah.
And one of the key things is having the locking doors work. And then we have to come up with a plan of how we do that.
Yeah. So I did speak with Tom after the policy meeting, and normal study room reservations, that's all going on. That's been going on for a while. So we're talking specifically about the community room. I think what the consensus we came to was that during library hours, the community room can be reserved. I think it still gets manually approved by you, Tom. But as long as it's during library hours, that's not really a big deal. We do have existing policies around like what types of things are allowed and all that. The issue, like Dana, you said, was that events that would either events that go off hours from the library, either they start during library hours and end later, or they're on a Sunday when the library is not even open. And we had a realization that I think all of the past events that we've had like that have involved either library staff or trustees. So someone who's able to lock the building and set the alarm,
Okay.
presumably. And so I think it was our understanding at the time, Tom, that like we don't have a mechanism to. Maybe we can do a temporary key card. Maybe that was is a possibility, but the alarm system was not something that we could. We can't just hand out the alarm code.
Right. And
So.
that's,
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I think sometimes, I could be wrong about this, I think sometimes staff might be there, but I think they might have been paid for coming in, for doing that. It was like extra work.
So we're talking about public in the building with no paid staff,
Yeah, because what,
correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And just
yeah, go ahead.
so just to be clear, the bottom, in case anyone's not aware, the bottom floor of the building can basically be, the children's room can be locked, the teen room, and the stairway
Yeah,
has
the
the gate.
slide down.
Right.
Because
And
we
the
didn't
elevator.
used to have the.
And the
needs to be
elevator.
turned off as well.
Okay. So in theory, people can be confined to the community room and I guess the friend's
Friend's
corner,
corner,
but
Or the bathrooms.
and the bathrooms.
And the
yeah.
bathrooms are open.
But I think, but the key, like the access to and out of the building, and the security system is the major sticking point right now. Did you have something to?
Yeah, am I allowed to
Go ahead,
yeah, yeah.
please.
toss in here? The alarm. The alarm is really a sticking point for me because we can't be giving out the alarm
No,
code.
yeah.
I
So-
mean, as soon as you have 5 people
do that.
use, for their scout meeting, then everybody in
Everybody
town
knows
knows
it.
what the alarm is for
So-
the library.
So may I counter that? So I think we need to figure out, it's a great point. I think it would have been foolish to build
Yeah.
public access into a building where the rest of, where you have to turn the security alarm on or turn it off when people in the building.
Yep.
It's likely that there's zones, and I don't know who might have that answer, I think the alarm company, where that specific area, can be accessed while the alarm is set, right? If somebody goes into an alarmed area, we want it to go off, right? We don't want them climbing over the
Right.
the
right.
gate, and then, I want the alarm to go off in that case.
I'm not aware of there being zones.
Yeah.
When we secure the building at the end of the night, we turn on the alarm for the entire building.
Okay.
So, but I can look into that with our
I think
alarm
we-
company.
Yeah, I think we should. And it
Because
is
otherwise, I
something
can't
interesting.
see any way that we could allow public access in the building unless the alarm is designed in a way that allows that, because, yeah.
The other option might be that if there's a way to like adjust, like
Yeah.
like you put a calendar thing on your calendar,
Gee, yeah.
like to say, oh, on Sunday, if we're able to issue a temporary key card for somebody, you give them the key card ahead of time, and then you say, we are essentially disabling the alarm during this window, so you'll be able to get in and out of the building.
I th-
If that was something that could work, I don't know though.
So the alarm system and the locking system are not connected in any way.
Right, but that's what I was
So-
saying is that you would, if you could issue them a temporary key card and then separately go and like put a hold on the alarm for whatever
Schedule.
time that you know that they're going to be in the building.
I can check with the alarm company. So
Yeah.
I'll need to see whether it's zoned, first of all.
Yeah.
And I'll need to see whether it can be scheduled, which I am pretty sure it can't be.
So I will say, in no way, shape, or form are we ever going to give out an alarm code for the library.
No, we won't do that.
Yep. So either we figure out
Yeah.
we have to redesign the alarm system if it's not already designed that
Right,
way. I think
okay.
it would have been foolish
Right.
to have designed that by the alarm company.
Yeah.
And we need to challenge them on that, because I don't think we've ever done this, right?
Yeah,
Well, I think there was always somebody there, so yeah,
Okay.
Perhaps, yeah.
like a library person.
But is
Right,
there,
but that is beyond the scope of
Oh, yeah, we'd
the
have,
library
I see.
position.
we'd have to, you'd have to figure it out.
Like the union
That-
representative
No, I'm not, it's
You'd have to
Cindy as
figure that
a
out.
employee.
employee.
I do know that Beth had a code, an access code, one card,
Okay,
that she would give to whatever organization and would give them that code to lock up at the end of the night. So that's how it used to be done. I don't,
Okay.
Yeah, no, I
I
can-
just,
I can speak to the locking system. And that's why I was bringing up the alarm
oh,
first.
okay,
Locking system, so, thank you, Cindy. So, when I was working with Puritan, we worked together and actually configured a system for a way to do this. So that, in effect, I can establish a holiday, which means it would have irregular hours. So the locking system would work on irregular hours. And so, if Thursday night the scouts are having a jamboree in beyond 8 o'clock, so they want to go till 9 o'clock, I can set up that particular day as a holiday, meaning that it's going to be irregular hours on that day alone. It would go till it wouldn't lock until 9 o'clock. So the locking system, and I know that the friends, I spoke to the friends about this previously, and they had a card, which they still do actually. I
Okay.
included them in the when I created the users, that they would come in, on a Sunday when they were doing their annual book sales, so they could
oh, yeah, that's
scan
right.
themselves in. It would still require the card to get in isn't the same as the locking system, even though they're tied together, the same company. One is allowing access to staff. The other is when it's going to unlock the doors and initiate the ADA compliant doors. So that can be configured. That can be configured. I can do that. My two concerns for non-library hours. That word again, the alarm. The other one is that if we're allowing after hours events, and so I am adjusting the doors so that it's not going to lock until 10 o'clock. That's fine for that group, but it
But then
also opens it
anybody
up.
could go in, yeah.
Exactly.
So,
It also
and what if
opens
they
up.
leave early and then nobody's there? You can.
Well,
Right.
I think you would just, again, if you could issue it like the temporary key card or code to get in, they can let their party of people in, and then but leave the doors locked.
I don't, so I think that's good that you worked with them to design, a solution to schedule when the doors
Right.
lock and unlock. But I don't know that that's really the way that I probably would have gone about it. So it's almost like, what you mentioned with the friends,
Right,
where, they have a card key that
right.
either I don't know if that staff entrance, does that go through the book sorting area, or does that kind of go
Doesn't
straight
have
into a
to.
No, no.
Well, it
hallway?
doesn't have to.
Yeah, it's next
There are
to
two
it.
options.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
do it different ways.
So somebody could have a badge, that could be, you turn it on for them, right? And then it's active, they come in, use the library, and then leave, but that's the only way anybody could get in and out of the building.
Yeah.
Doors are always locked.
Like the hotel key cards that
You got it.
they
Yeah.
work for your room, and then in theory, if you
Yeah,
steal the hotel key card, like they just disable it, and it's not
Right.
relevant anymore. But
yeah.
so it sounds like in theory that can be worked out, but the alarm
Yes.
is not tied to that system.
Okay.
Okay. So
So you'll get back to us on that.
Yep.
Great.
So, that was a really good discussion, and that's like the outside of hours. But today, if we want the community room to be available during library hours.
Yep.
So we.
We had a
so
board meeting for the building department
Yeah.
in the other day, and they used it, and that was fine.
Awesome.
Perfectly.
Okay.
I just scheduled an art show for March.
Oh, okay.
The group again is
The Small Stones Festival
Small
of the
Stones
Arts.
Festival. Is going to be taking place in March.
It's their
Oh.
children's show.
Oh.
It's
that's
gonna be,
wonderful. Okay.
it's
So
gonna be
Carolyn.
Carolyn.
Yep. So Carolyn was in my office today. We were discussing it. We set up the dates. So we're going to
That's
move forward with that.
Fantastic.
So yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
It's affiliated with the Grafton High School, so it's a way to get the young kids involved.
That's
So
wonderful.
it's something we've been wanting to do, and I actually pushed Carolyn to do it because,
Yep.
we weren't doing it. So she
Awesome.
met with Tom.
So, the website, so I looked at the website yesterday, and it says the community room is not available because of flooding, blah, blah, blah. So that'll be updated.
Well, yeah, I don't know how that's done though. I mean, that was done and undone. That was activated and disabled beyond my scope. So I don't know
So I guess,
who handles
for-
that.
so
We have nobody that handles the website is what the
Yeah,
issue is, and it needs a whole,
we-
it needs
we-
a rework.
but even updates, like there's no, like we can't do any updates to the website.
yeah, I thought there was
I
someone
think-
at least who
Yeah,
knew
we
how to-
need to, like, yeah, because there are updates that we see on there sometimes.
That's different than initiating a web form though. So I mean, Kim makes updates
Oh, okay.
quite often for like when we this week we had to cancel some of the children's programming, and so we put that up. About the closing of the reading room for the construction that was going on. That's fine. We can put things in the carousel. We can put up articles, which I've done. About when we were doing updates on the children's room.
Yeah,
And that's fine, but I need to know how to do we need to
Yes.
know
okay.
how to do a form. A form's different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
might I make a suggestion? So you likely pay software maintenance or something for this, which means you can call the company if you need support. you know, I don't know if you have any contact information
We
for them.
don't,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, that was all,
But even something like so if I go to the website and then go to meeting rooms and facility rental, there's verbiage on here, and I can
Yep.
so we can't we don't know how to update this, or we
but does it initiate, it doesn't initiate an email to me.
There is a
So there's LibCal, which is the new,
Yeah,
so here and
Event
then it says
system.
so it says we're not able to. So there's no way right now to do it because it's saying that you can't take one. But
Oh, okay.
so
but I mean, you could change it to say email or something.
Yeah, that's just a WordPress webpage.
Okay.
yeah, so the main website
Yeah.
verbiage should be able to be updated, I would
Yeah.
think, by
sure, yeah, so we
But-
can, we can get in and make changes to this phrasing.
yeah.
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 And then, so LibCal, it looks like LibCal is the new event system
Right.
that's being used, and that's currently being used for the study room reservations.
Right,
Correct.
So if
Right.
there's someone at the library who's aware of how that works, then maybe that, like, because there's a category, it says study room, and maybe that a new category can be added to that
Okay.
called, you know,
Or
community room
rename
something.
there. I
It
think
was,
there
it's
was one.
got to
It
be
just
in
has-
there.
No, so the original reservation system that was used
Oh,
for
okay.
the community
was
rooms
before?
was the old system.
Right.
It was terrible.
I
So
thought it was fine, but
I mean, it was one of those things that had 50 different
I think
fields and
Yeah.
used
what
like
we
two
got
of them.
now is better, but it was, I couldn't
Great.
figure it out.
that's great.
Yeah,
Where's this
yeah,
from?
like-
Where you at?
This is
But so
Lib-
you
this is
think,
LibCal.
John, that may not have included the community room because it wasn't working at that point?
That would be my guess.
Okay.
Yeah, because the event system I think was
So
implemented
I think the point
within the
was,
last
like,
year.
the only thing you can select
I believe.
is study.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Got a couple
right.
conversations going on here.
Yeah.
Okay, I can
All
work
right.
with them, see if
So-
we can get that set up.
All right. So to summarize, Tom, I guess you can investigate.
Yep.
Who would be able to update the website? Hopefully, someone at the library,
Yeah.
and then, maybe hopefully LibCal can serve as a way to reserve both the study rooms and the community room.
Okay, sounds fine.
So then we
Okay.
just.
At least during library hours.
During library hours for now, and then if you're able to research about the alarm system, sorry to draw this out. I did have one question about this, which maybe would give us some insight. Probably not. But when the friends were given access to the library on Sunday,
Yeah.
how did they deal with the alarm?
Yeah.
Tom, didn't you meet them, or
This
usually
past
the
book
last?
sale, because of the whole
Oh, yeah,
front door
right.
locking
You met
system,
them.
I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I showed up when they opened,
yeah.
Okay.
opened it for them, turned off the alarm,
Okay.
and then came back at the end.
What usually happens in the book sale is there's usually a member of the library staff that will meet the friends, like, because usually it's like an hour before the library opens or whatever, and then lets them in, or maybe they might be there like on a Saturday, they're already going to be there, let them in, but then then the alarm is locked when you leave.
We've been there on a Sunday, I know, because the scouts have helped out for book sales, moving tables and whatnot.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
usually
But was there a staff member?
There was
probably?
probably-
usually a staff member would meet us to let us in, and then there might be a code like to lock it after, like that used
Okay.
to be.
So
So there's a way to do it. We just have to figure it out. And it sounds like we're going to have some kind of code cards.
I think we'll let Tom take a look at it because it sounds like there may not be an issue, may not be a way to do it, but we'll.
Well, I
Yeah.
think we're going to have to investigate a way to do it because the public, I mean, they really, they got it. There's no place in the town to meet except for that room. The police department has a room, but it's really, really deep inside the police room. It's not really the police center. It's not great. I've been there. We were there. Beth had us there for a couple things.
Oh, okay.
But even before we get, I mean, like, we obviously want to use it off hours, but if we can make the room available again during library hours, I mean, that's
Yeah.
a big win. So, and that sounds fairly doable. So
We're already there.
So,
Yeah.
so might I ask one question about the reservation of the community room? I don't know that it was ever intended to be something that somebody could go online and reserve. Maybe I'm wrong.
Community room was able to be
Goes to the
reserved
director.
online, and the previous director would manually approve each request for the
Right.
community room.
Okay,
It went-
this was prior to flooding.
Yeah,
Yes.
email went
Okay.
to the,
Yes, we want it to be back the same way.
yes,
Okay.
Yes. And in theory, the new event system looks like it could possibly support
I would think so.
that system
Great.
for during hours requests. So, so I guess Tom, let us know if there's either way, I guess, and if it turns out that we can't do it with the current alarm system, then we'll revisit it and see if we can
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
upgrade the alarm system.
I think our hours have changed too, because we used to be open to 9, so now we're to 8. So a lot of meetings might start at 7, be over at 9, so.
Okay. All right. Why don't we move on? Policy update, Aaron.
So the policy committee met on November 5th, I believe. And we had a pretty full agenda, but it's a working agenda, so we tabled anything that we felt we didn't really want to tackle because we're meeting at 6:30 during the week, and we can only have the room for about an hour, right? So unless we decide to move it all online, which we haven't decided yet, we're kind of limited in terms of how much deliberation we can do. So we had a really effective meeting. We have the epidemic policy, pandemic policy, which is ready for legal review, which Tom is going to send over, and then that'll go to the union, and then that'll come to the board. So that'll probably be the next thing that comes to the board for approval. But then we've been kind of tabling the program policy for a while because the way it was written is the new version. I think the last one was updated in 2018. It was quite an old policy, the one on the website.
What policy was that again?
This is the program
Program
policy.
policy.
Okay.
So the program policy on the web page as it exists now is just a one pager. It's like a paragraph.
Okay.
And the one that was written by the previous director is a 5-pager. Okay. So reviewing it was a very large task. So thinking back to that meeting, I think some of it was copy pasted, I feel, because there seems to be a lot of redundancy in that policy, which we see in some of the other policies like crowd control, right? And we've seen that kind of in other places. So really the focus of the meeting was
Unintended child is.
unattended child policy. So really the focus of the meeting was to pare it down back to something we felt comfortable that wasn't redundant and covered by other policies. So we got about halfway through that one, and that'll be the focus of our next meeting. So happy to hear any feedback or questions.
Sounds good.
Anything to add, Tom or John?
We did sort of change the format of the meeting from hitting a lot of different policies
Yep.
to focusing on one policy to actually make some real headway.
Yeah.
And I think that was much more effective. So I
Yep.
thought that was a real improvement in the way we're approaching them.
So Kim has been helping us keep organized and attended to take minutes for us. So and she turned around those minutes really quickly. So we'll have minutes to review at the next meeting, and was gracious enough to schedule our next meeting for us with the calendar system. So that was good. December 4th.
December 4th. I actually can't make that, so I don't know.
Okay,
Well, maybe we'll chat afterwards and see if we need to reschedule that.
sounds good. All right, thank you.
All right. Any questions for Aaron on the policy subcommittee?
Thank you for doing all this. I think it's one of those sort of unsung hero type of roles that unless it's up front and center, a lot of people don't realize how much work you've taken the lead on, and the rest of the subcommittee too. That it's really been huge. So thank you for all
Appreciate
of
that.
Sure.
He's been doing it for years too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not as long as you might think,
Sorry.
but I do appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Okay. let's move on to the director's report. Tom, which I believe you already hit some of these
Yes,
items, so.
We can hit some of them again. Some new things. We'll give you some statistics for the library. I do apologize that I usually get these from the CW Mars site, and they just hadn't updated their statistics as up to date as I'd hoped. But we have seen a considerable increase in circulation, which was nice. Patrons added just keeps going every week. We're getting about over 2 a day every month, and which is just incredible. I thought that was going to sort of top off at some point and plateau, but it doesn't seem to be. We just seem to be keep adding more patrons. I don't know where they're coming from, but they're welcome in our library. And then the electronic resources just continue to be a wonderful resource for the patrons, so they're happy with those. Staffing, there is no staffing update because all of our positions are filled, which is wonderful. The children's room update, again, no news is good news. We have very little to report there, and that's how I like it. Other than that it is thriving, and just continue to get wonderful reports from and comments from all the staff. I did a shift down there myself, and it was a pleasure to be down there. The one thing that we have sort of in the works there is that this week we had some people coming in to do some work on the bookshelves. It was one final part of the project. And I'm honestly not sure whether it was during the moving of the bookshelves or if it was just something that was noticed when we were moving the shelves back, but they just didn't quite align the top wood.
That was like the back shelf.
It was actually a number of them. They were just slightly off, but they were off, and so they were the workers were coming in to take care of those. So that work has been going on and relatively unobtrusive. The cupola project we spoke about. Grafton celebrates holidays. We are going to be participating in. So on the 8th, we have some things in the works that we're planning, and staffing to be there. That is during a non-normal library hours, and I will be able to adjust the locking system so that the building will be open. So I already have that set up.
I have a question about
Yeah. Yeah.
about the locks. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Moving on. Speaking of holidays, our Halloween celebration was very popular. We had about 1,200 people, and they all got little rubber ducks.
That's
so
awesome.
it was a very popular event. I honestly was unaware that it was such an event that takes place downtown. Because the libraries that I've worked in the past, it's been like, yeah, we have a bowl of candy at the desk, and that's about it.
Well, the location right by South Street, I mean, like, it's
Yep.
just awesome.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yep. So already planning on next year. Front door locking system we have spoken about, and we're well on task to have this completed by the date that we had initially been shooting for, which was the end of November, and I think it's going to be ended this week, honestly. The only other thing that I have to bring up is that there is an issue with the HVAC system. So it has been reported, I noticed it, primarily in the historic reading room. You could keep a side of beef in there because it was chilly. And so I contacted our HVAC company and had them come out. Through investigating, they discovered that one of the units that had been installed in August, if you remember, there were 2 units that had malfunctioned and they needed to be installed. They were under warranty. They did that in August. One of them has malfunctioned since then. It is still under warranty, so that's been ordered, and so we're going to schedule that as soon as that comes in, and they will be coming to install that.
So you're saying that's the historic reading room. Does that impact the large print reading room, or that's that's a different unit?
No, it's different.
not at all, not at all. It does impact the teen room primarily, and just a little bit into the children's room over towards that end.
Okay.
But it is primarily the historic reading room that is being affected by it.
Well, that's great that it's under warranty, so that's.
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So, there might be some labor costs involved. There were when we did the ones in August, so I'm just waiting to fine tune that. But
That
first
was-
step is just
yeah.
to get them, to get the new unit in, and then we can look into having that
So,
installed.
so again, like I mentioned it earlier, but like in the large print room,
Yeah.
there's the two conference rooms. Dan
I
and
was gonna
were
add
there.
that. I think he
Yeah.
needs to look into that. It could be
It
the
was
same
a very
thing.
strange noise, and it sounded like it could be HVAC. I mean, I've been in that room before. I've never heard a noise in there before, but it was.
Was this recently?
Yeah, it was last night.
Yeah, it was last night. We were in.
Okay.
We were meeting in 228, I think.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
I'm concerned about that now that you tell me that you noticed we had the other issue.
Okay.
So, this is a small room off the large print reading room.
Yeah, and it was kind of a high. It was kind
Yep.
of like in the corner.
It has very high ceilings and it's got the palladium window. It was like right up here. It was like it sounded like almost like an engine.
So, I remember being at a friend's meeting probably a year or so ago, and when I talked to one of the librarians about it, it might have been Heidi. I think she said that, like, they asked about some gurgling or something, and that's kind of a normal sound in that particular study room.
It was
And
more than gurgling.
So maybe it's like gotten progressively worse.
Yeah,
No, it sounds
I think
like
Tom should listen to it in light of everything we've
All right.
talked about today.
To me, it almost sounded like a toilet, like like
Water.
watery, like it sounded like you were close to like plumbing. Like that's what it sounded like.
So I know that because we'd had problems with those rooms
Oh,
previously,
okay.
especially that the temperatures were
The temperature
Crazy.
seemed fine. I didn't notice the temperature, but it was.
previously it had
Yeah,
been.
I think you
So,
just need
and
to
I know
watch
that
it.
that was part of the other units that had to be installed. So I can't say that it's not part of this unit. That,
See, and this is what happens when you have paranormal programming,
see?
But you-
right?
No.
You asked for it? No.
It might need.
All we were doing was acknowledging it.
I know.
We just discovered what the source was.
There you go.
I don't know,
So
maybe
it,
something
it
needs
may
to be
very well
replaced.
be that that is something that is being caused by this malfunctioning unit. I mean, we know we have a malfunctioning unit.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I guess
Okay,
it
and
I
was
there
just
are
thought you
two
should listen
units.
to it.
Yeah.
So it's
Well-
controlling half of the building. So it may be.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully, when that unit's replaced,
Right.
then we can
Yep.
check and see. Like,
Then we'll-
okay, and
then we will
hopefully
see.
it
You
will-
might just want to
Right.
listen to it because it was really.
I've had reports from
You-
staff. I mean,
okay.
staff have told me, yeah.
Okay, we just.
Yep.
Same thing that we
Yep.
experienced. Okay, good. Thank you.
And I did have a question regarding on the staffing. No current staffing needs. All positions are filled, which is awesomeness. I did have a question though regarding custodial staffing, custodial hours. If you could fill us in again, how many hours do we have, and are they sufficient to address the needs of the building?
I'm not sure what the numbers are.
Okay.
I don't know how many hours we have. I know that we have two staff, town staff, that come and take care of that for us.
Do you find that it's sufficient, whether it's the bathrooms, the cleanup and of the study rooms and the rugs and everything, that it's
But he said earlier we really need a deep clean. So
right?
For the regular day-to-day maintenance for the building, I think they do a fantastic job, and
That's
the place looks good.
All right.
Right, separate issue. We need
Yeah.
the deep cleaning,
Right.
but for the regular day-to-day, I'm completely satisfied with what we
Okay.
get from them. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And the other question I have is, and I don't know if libraries in general, off hours, are off limits to certain individuals, and I'll use such as offenders and such. And when you then go over to when the library is then opened, do workers, and I see that there were various workers and contractors and companies that come in and they're in the children's room, and they're technically not volunteers, so Cory check wouldn't necessarily come into play, but is that ever a concern as far as, who's coming in, not only to the building, but into the children's room and whether they're vetted? How does that work?
A concern, sure. I mean, an awareness, yes. But since they're not staffed, they're not any more than we would be checking
Yeah.
patrons coming in.
Right.
They're not left unsupervised with
Right.
the children, like the
Yeah.
children's, library staff is there, they're just doing they're not doing anything directly with the children, they're fixing the shelving.
And I'm thinking to myself as we're talking about this, that if there's someone that shouldn't be in certain areas, all right, based on their prior record of history, I guess the question is, are libraries absolutely off limits?
There's a bulletin board, I noticed, there's certain people that aren't not supposed to be there and it's posted,
Right.
right?
So maybe libraries in general, regardless of, not just certain sections of the library, but I guess that's a question I'd want answered. Are libraries in general?
I mean,
Off
if
limits.
you're asking about the children's room specifically, we do have a policy in place that
Yes.
unattended
Right.
adults are not allowed in the children's room.
Right.
So if you're in the children's room, you have to be a guardian
Right.
in there with children.
So but with the workers,
I think the teen room's the same too.
right? So yeah, we have some workers in the children's room this week to finish up their work on the bookshelves, and so I guess were they? Do we consider them unattended as well? And in other words, certainly the work needs to get done, and once they're in the building, let's say before hours or and then now the building then opens and now there's people in there. And so I guess, do we extend that restriction then even to workers?
Well,
As unattended? In other words, why
Yeah.
would we give them special treatment if every other adult is limited by that rule?
Because I think in the end it's still a judgment call,
Sure.
right? So
They're there with a purpose.
They're there and they're visible to the staff,
Right.
Yeah.
like
Right.
they're not gonna be allowed to.
Yeah, so happy to look at it from a policy
Sure.
level if you'd like.
I don't think it's a
I
big
think-
issue.
I think they're looking at making sure that they're doing what their
Right.
job is.
Okay.
And it seems to me that this is pretty rare,
they,
right?
they would have a reason
very
to be
rare.
there.
This has
and I
only
understand.
happened this one time.
this is very rare, and
Yeah.
this is part of the ongoing,
Right.
fixing of the room.
Right.
And this was discussed extensively with the town administrator, Assistant William, as well as the head of the children's room. So I brought all these people into this conversation
All right.
with the workers, and we all agreed that this was an appropriate way to handle
Okay.
finishing the construction of the room.
All right. All right, thank you. It just came to mind as I was reading this that it's just something that myself and others would think about, and so thank you for addressing that.
All right. I had actually one quick thing to go back to regarding the HVAC. So I know we're gonna wait on replacing that unit and then see that effect across the library. I had reports that the teen room was also cold. I think you're aware of that as well. Also, historically, the teen room office has been colder than even other areas of the library.
I
So
believe there's no when the building was designed, that area was designed without.
there's one vent, but it's small, and
that room was designed without sufficient, if you want to say there is a vent,
Yeah.
certainly without sufficient heating.
Okay. I'm wondering if we should get a quote from the HVAC company and see if it's, at all, like, see what the ballpark is for trying to fix that problem. Because it's, I mean,
That's fair. We don't want, it needs to be,
yeah, I mean,
Appropriate.
Well, the
I mean,
doors there too, right? Did they re-insulate and all that stuff? I don't know.
you're talking about the exterior door for the teen room?
Yeah, I mean,
That's,
about the
that's
office.
separate. Yeah, I'm just talking about the office, which is really, it's its own.
I thought it was still, a
problem.
part of that isn't in that office then? It's not functional, okay, it's been a while since I was in there, okay. I shouldn't talk, I don't know, I haven't been in there. I
Yeah,
had
that door's
some new
separate
business that I
from-
wanted to
So-
talk about too.
Yeah, so
Since that's structural,
yeah,
but I can find out.
yeah, I know. So I mean, I don't know much about HVAC, but there's
Nor do I.
tons of ventilation in the maker space and stuff like that, and
Yep.
it's adjacent there, and like I said, there's some sort of vent that goes there. So
Yeah.
maybe it's blocked, maybe a new hole could be drilled. I have no idea, but maybe it's just worth looking into just to
Sure.
see.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Carrie?
can I ask a related question? So while we're talking about the teen room, the
That's what I was
teen
gonna bring
gaming
up.
room. Yeah.
That was my
Yeah,
new business.
flooring for the teen gaming room. So we've talked about it quite a bit, but we as a board haven't received an estimate to install new flooring in that room. I think we've talked about like getting estimate for that.
Okay.
So, because I think that's
Yeah.
something that's overdue that we
Yeah.
need to do.
We-
So now that we're kind of, I guess, working down
It
that
should be on the
list.
punch list
Yeah, it
and
should
can
be on the
Tom
punch
look
list.
into it, because the staff doesn't have time to do it.
It is, right?
It is.
Yeah, it's on the punch list.
Okay, so
Yep,
you'll
that's
look
part
into
of it.
that,
Okay.
cause that was
But
gonna be,
it,
Yeah, so it's floating
Priority.
it
around,
needs,
yeah.
it,
There's priorities.
it needs to rise up.
Yeah, but absolutely.
How
the
long do you
locking
think we'll be
mechanism
waiting?
is higher.
it's been like,
Well-
it's been a while.
It's been a while, but I mean,
it's
the
not-
locking
I know he's
mechanism
busy.
definitely is there. So this is moving
Yeah.
up the list.
We were gonna, yeah, we just wondered, that's all.
And perfectly fine to wonder, just with the understanding that in a triage environment, which is what this building is, when, it's like, okay, well now the children's carpeting is done. Now what do we do? And then
Yeah.
front door locking system,
Yeah.
the HVAC is broken,
Those
the
are
elevator
definitely
broke the
higher
other day.
priority.
I mean, for the third time in 3 months. So,
Okay.
um,
But you know what?
there is a punch
Okay,
list.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But things as they look like they're moving up are bypassed by other things that are much more pressing.
I didn't know, I don't think I knew that it was on your agenda, so I'm
Yep.
glad it is, cause we were asking other people to do it that just didn't have the time to do it, so I'm glad it's on your agenda, that's all we wanted.
It's on the
And then
list. It's
When,
on the list.
when you figure it out, bring, ask the capital campaigns that they would fix that, I
Sure.
believe. Okay.
Okay. Great. Okay. So any other? Did you have anything else to talk about, Tom?
That was
regarding
it
your
for me.
director's
Thank
report?
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any public input? No? Okay. All right, so our next meetings are, policy subcommittee is currently set for December 4th, 2024 at 6:30 PM in the conference room 219 at the Grafton Public Library.
What day of the week is that? Is that a
That's a
Tuesday?
Tuesday, I believe. Or is it a Wednesday?
I think a Wednesday. I'll check.
It's Wednesday is generally what we agreed to meet on.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, but,
We're gonna
like I
talk
said,
about it.
when we
yeah,
talk about
'cause it's
that,
2 weeks
that
Friday.
may need to get rescheduled. That might need to get pushed out to the new year, because I think the 11th, we'd rescheduled from the 11th, because that was already a busy day, and then our board meeting is on the 18th, and then 25th is Christmas, so maybe,
Well, let's talk offline.
yeah. And then the Board of Libraries Trustees meeting is December 18th, 2024 at 7 PM, Conference Room A at the Grafton Town Hall. All right. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made by Roger and seconded by Aaron. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I declare this meeting adjourned.